We work with lots of different organizations. Here in the Missoula Valley, we work with the Missoula Public Library, we work with Home Resource, we work here with the Butterfly House and Insectarium, we work with Moon Randolph Homestead, and a number of others. We have about 15 collaborating partners this year. This year we'll look forward to putting about 27 artists in residence in our various communities. And in addition to offering essential time and space and interpersonal support, professional development opportunities like presentations and exhibitions, workshop opportunities, we also think creative practices are essential and vital for our communities, and that in and of making in itself is additive, value additive for our communities. And so we back that with money. We put money in all of our artists' hands, and we're really proud to do so. I'm standing here today because of one of these collaborations and a project that's kind of been born from a residency. So a little bit of background. 2 years ago, 2022, right? Summer of 2022. Little bit, let me scroll forward. I want to give a shout out to somebody in the audience today, Don Payne. It all started a little bit because of Don Payne's vision and passion for open air, bugs, Doug Emlen. And Don connected us with Doug over at the Emlen Evolutionary Biology Lab at the University of Montana. And we met Doug, and we also shared in Don's passion and enthusiasm and said, this is going to be a great partnership. We would love to work together. And so Open Air, what we do annually, we put out a call for artists, and our call is an invitation to Montana-based artists, artists from across the state, and even internationally. And we welcome artists of all disciplines to apply. It's a fairly competitive application process. We receive about 200 applications annually, and then we make the tough choice. We go through a very long and thoughtful process of trying to make a selection. And we were only planning on one artist at Doug's lab. And then we got applications from Jessi, Harvey, Julynn, Wildman, and we said, we can't just have one. How do we just have one? We have to have them both. Let us have them both. And so that's what we did. We invited both artists to be in residence with Doug in the summer of 2022. They came in as independent entities. Julynn is a dancer, Jessi a composer, and their time together naturally led to something a little more. And I have been in just complete admiration of their dedication to this project and continuing collaboration. It's not easy trying to piecemeal the money together, piecemeal the time together, add a baby into the mix. It's been really admirable to see their tenacity and willingness to keep moving through. And so as a supporting organization, we love to work with committed, disciplined artists and are so thrilled to be here today and see the performance that you have in store for us. I want to give also a shout out to the Prop Foundation for their generous support of this project. Really helped make this happen. And our work is also supported by the National Endowment for the Arts, the Laura Barrett Family Foundation Fund, and the Pat and Terry Payne family. And so we're super grateful for all of their help. If you care to make a donation, we have a donation in the box in the back, and also your ticket sales all today go directly to the artist. So worry not, all of your money will be going ferried to the artist today. So that's enough of me. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. So I'm not an artist, full disclosure. I'm a scientist. I'm a biologist at the University of Montana. You'll see a little bit, you're going to learn a little bit about the things that we do with the research that we do. I work on rhinoceros beetles, of all things. And it's an odd partnership, you might think, but I'll get to that in a second. I think I want to frame this, first of all, by saying as a scientist, it's hard to look at the world around us and not come to the conclusion that we're heading for a pretty scary place. And if you look at public understanding of science, public trust of science as a process, or trust of scientists as people doing science, I mean, our country has hit an all-time low. And it's hard. I mean, it's forced a lot of the scientists to sort of shake off our normal routines and look around us and try to figure out how can we do a better job connecting with people outside of science and outside of academia. And we're not trained for that. It's a different skill set. A lot of us have tried and stumbled and fallen, but more and more of us are realizing that the future, not just of the fabric of science in this country, but a lot of us would argue the future of our society, our planet, national security. There's so many ways you could look at it where I would argue decisions have to be made grounded on real science. And if we can't connect with people outside of science, we have a fundamental problem. And so a number of us have been getting more and more involved with trying to figure out how to reach out. And it's hard. If you're trained to do science, it's a whole different thing. And for a number of years, I've tried to work with a science writer on a textbook and tried to work on trade books, even tried a kid's book. That's the sort of way that most of us go. This is something wild and completely different. And it really did start with Dawn's suggestion. She's in the room. So again, I just have to say how this came about. It shows what I love about this town. It's an interconnected, really vibrant community with people with all kinds of interests. So as a scientist trying to figure out how to do outreach, I've had a long-standing friendship and partnership with Jen and Glenn, the people that have built this, the Butterfly House. And if you haven't come and seen the Butterfly House, you need to come and see the Butterfly House. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But trying to figure out how to bring this community together and raise the money for this facility, and then have a pandemic hit and do all this, essentially over Zoom, was a tough lift. And so they were doing the Butterfly House grassroots stuff. I was scientist, sort of trying to lend what I could, and was one of the people on the steering committee. And part of that meant that as the restrictions of the pandemic lifted, we started trying to bring a lot of the people interested in the Butterfly House to my lab to look at all the insects that we had in the lab. Because during the time period when the Butterfly House didn't have this building, they would have had to kill all of the international and tropical and all the giant crazy insects because you need a contained facility and permits. But the university lab that I work in has all the permits. And so we were able to move all of those permitted insects to the University of Montana campus, keep them essentially in a closet in our lab for 2 years. And we brought a lot of people from the community through to come and have a look at the insects. And it was on one of those things where Dawn's like, have you heard of open air? You should use your lab as a host. And I never heard of any of this. I hadn't met Stoney, so she set everything up, and the rest is history. But I don't know that many scientists that work with choreographers or work with dancers. It's a really unusual way to try to bridge that gap, but it's been amazing. You're going to hear more about both of them in a minute. Awesome, awesome to work with people that talented and that interested in learning about beetles and about science and about biology, and to bring that together into a collaborative effort has been great. It has been, I will echo, a difficult kind of a partnership to fund. So it's taken Missoula's generosity. This is a great community, again, people sort of pitching in different places. But perseverance and commitment and a lot of passion has kept this thing moving forward. And I hope you like what you see today. So I'm not going to talk about the beetles. I'm going to hand that off to a graduate student in my lab, Sophie, who you'll hear from in a second. She's doing her PhD on the behavior of these beetles. She studies them by going to Japan, which is where they live, and then staying out all night, every night, because they're nocturnal, and trying to film and paint numbers on the backs of all the beetles. And some of the people, so we've got one of the people that worked with her all summer here as well, Oren, she ran a whole crew this whole summer in Japan, out all night, every night, like in the rain, shine, out there watching it going and studying the beetles. And it's the behavior of the beetles that she'll tell you about, and that ultimately, I think, were the primary inspiration for the collaborative pieces that you'll hear from today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this. And I'm going to hand off to Sophie.
Well, hi everybody. So like Doug said, I'm a PhD student in his lab. I am just wrapping up, I guess, the halfway point. And so far, I have been studying Japanese Rhinoceros Beetle and their strange and interesting mating behaviors. So I'm going to try to do a pretty brief primer on some of the biology, and then the rest of this will be all of the stuff that is inspired from what I think is also very cool. So I just also want to say this is a really incredible moment to see all of this work come together. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Julynn and Jessi back in the lab in 2022. And so I'm just really, really excited. And for it to be at the Butterfly House too, it's awesome. So the Japanese Rhinoceros Beetle is a pretty large scarab, and they, like their name suggests, have a really big horn. That has evolved because, in this case, the males that have the weapons will fight each other on the sides of little feeding sound territories that they feed on, in order to exclude rivals from potential mates that are also feeding at the same territories. This is a little primer on why they're fighting in the first place and why they have really big weapons. Normally, when species evolve weapons like that, they don't often evolve other things to go with it. So we don't really see elk doing a rut and then also doing a dance and a song after they do that. So it's normally a one or the other type situation. So the fact that these beetles actually make a little sound that is very much a courtship song, and happens all before mating and after they fight. You'll see, I think, some lovely imagery, which is actually my data that I can look at for hours all the time. And basically, a big part of my project is trying to remedy that interesting question of why have both of these tactics evolved in this species. So I feel very happy that so many people also find this really interesting. Interesting enough to create an amazing piece of art around it. So I hope that you also feel inspired after you see some of the stuff that they've been working on. And I'm happy to talk more about biological questions at another point in time. But with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jessi.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. This is phenomenal. I'm so excited that I know so many of you here. Some of you from a very, very long time ago. And some new people, and it's so, thank you. I'm totally blown away. If you don't know me, my name is Jessi. I also go by George, and I'm a composer. I grew up about 30 miles west of here in the 6 Mile Valley, and it was like so thrilling to come back home and do what I do, which is write music. Yeah, I'm just kind of like floored right now. As you said, it's based on research. All of my music is based on research. I'm a giant nerd. I love to learn things. All things. So when I saw our residency saying, you're going to be in a scientific lab, and they're doing research into the mating songs and dances of the Japanese rhino beetle, I was like, please pick me, please pick me, please pick me, this is a dream come true. And Doug immediately was like, you know, you don't have to get into the mating songs and dances, you can do other stuff. I was like, no, I'm here for the songs. So what you're about to hear is about 20 minutes of music, which is entirely, every single note is based on research. It may not sound like it, but the logic behind it, every single thing, is just a weird scientific fact. The motives, a lot of the rhythmic motives are based on rhythmic transcriptions, there we go, that's the word, of the Beatles' actual songs. It's in 3 movements. You're about to go on an epic journey of beetle courtship. So, in the beginning, we have aggregation. So, in order to court someone, you need more than one beetle on a tree. So, when a beetle is walking around and it finds some tree sap, it emits an aggregation pheromone, and all the other beetles go, food! Yes. So then we get some beetles on the tree. So in the first movement, you'll hear some whirling, swirling, flying sounds. If you hear something that sounds dum 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 dum, that is just the beetles going nom 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 nom. Also, like a lot of humorous things in my music. And then you'll hear in the beginning this very amorphous, windy sound. So taking you to Japan, where they are. In the second movement, we battle. So I did a March Madness bracket of Beatles. So you'll hear the different instruments battle each other, and just like the Beatles often do, most of the time, the largest and loudest instrument does win. And then we have the third movement, which is our courtship song. So the Beatles, when they do one of their bee songs, it's a very it's like the closest equivalent is a cat's purr. It's like this very slow, steady, and they make it by moving their abdomen back and forth. You'll actually see that in one of the video clips. And so it starts out with the instruments just passing this tone, back and forth, nice and horizontal, and then the winner of the battles, which I will not give it away, gets to sing a lovely courtship song. Now, nature does not always have a happy ending, so I'll just put it out there that you can decide whether the beetles are successful in their copulation and spreading of their genetic diversity, or not so much and they get rejected. So I'd like to thank so much these wonderful 6 musicians for rehearsing with me and hearing a lot about bug sex and the different aspects of it and why they're making the sounds they are. So I'd like to invite them to come on stage. We're going to do a quick tune. I'm going to get the visuals ready to go, and we'll get some tunes. Thank you so much. I do have one quick thing just to say, and I would like to make sure to invite my collaborator, Julynn, because this is not the end of this process. We are about only midway through. So as everyone's been saying, projects like this are really hard to fund. Technically speaking, this is a $41,000 project. We have amazingly funded most of it. We have gotten $26,000, which is amazing. We obviously have some to go. go. And unfortunately, it's always artist fees, which are the things that are the last to get paid. So if you liked this, if you want to see where it goes, we do have our Indiegogo campaign now live and running. And any amount you can donate is wonderful. If you can't donate, thank you for coming to this event. This helps cover some of that cost. If you know someone who would be excited about this project, weird as it is, tell them about it. And real quickly before we go, and then please join us for Beetle Cake because there's cake.